After the best center since Shaq captured the illustrious NBA title, Nikola Jokic already going down, cementing his legacy in the great big man history books. One of the best centers the game will ever see, a tremendous postseason performer. He's undoubtedly the majority favorite in many's eyes as the very best player in the NBA, something prime Dwight Howard can never say. Offensively, it's not even close. Jokic's skill set's miles better than the limited, inconsistent post-game Howard, known for catching easy lobs, but defensively, it's not close either. Prime Dwight Howard miles better on that end, but never led his Magic to the championship, but won 3 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards, while prime Jokic, 2 straight MVPs, arguably should have won a 3rd, but a combination of jealousy and voter fatigue. We don't need to get into that. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Howard talking about 38 and 20, 48 and 18, all those with 2s, not 3s. He's going to take himself, the same himself that got outscored by Pau Gasol in the NBA Finals, the same himself that demanded out of Orlando and never viewed a superstar again, the same himself that never averaged above 23 points a game in any season when he had all the talent to put up 27 and 15, the same himself that was considered the second best player to build a team around behind LeBron James after 2012, regardless of the limited success. Only 2 more All-Star appearances after his Magic tenure, 6 different teams, including 3 different stints with the Lakers, from superstar to journeyman, left off the top 75. Needs to remind everybody how great he was. His cringy attitude, never getting along with many teammates around the league, is Howard himself, who needs to look in the mirror, face reality. The poor attitude he carried himself during the mid to late 2010s went down as one of the most disrespected big names, will likely be forgotten in the big man conversation, and now wanting his greatness to be remembered. Howard, to his credit, was in fact a beast between 2008 to 2011. There's no denying he was in the conversation, a top 5 player in the game a 4-year stretch. Orlando became relevant because of his presence as a franchise guy, picked number 1 in the 04 draft. The 22-year-old in 2008 put up 21 and 14, over 2 blocks, a 52-win team, led his Magic to the semis, arguably the 5th best player behind Kobe, LeBron, CP3 and KG, debatable between Dirk, Wade and Duncan, while the 09 season led Orlando to 59 wins, near 21 and 14 averages, 3 blocks, only 12.4 shot attempts, not even top 3 on his team in shot attempts. Behind Rashad Lewis, Turkoglu, and Jameer Nelson, nearly won unanimous Defensive Player of the Year, 105 first place votes, nobody else more than 4 first place votes. The year he dethroned LeBron's Cavs in dominating fashion, had the perfect pair of teammates around him. This version of Howard would have won Defensive Player of the Year each of the last 10 seasons convincingly. An athletic specimen, insanely built Deltors, looks like he can shoulder press 3 plates. Jokic offensively in today's game, advanced stats blows everybody out of the water, but Howard's advanced stats defensively led all 4 years in defensive win shares based on a player's ability to prevent opposing teams from scoring, estimating the number of points allowed per 100 defensive possessions. 2010, after the addition of Vince Carter, team remained the same record-wise, but fluky chemistry, average over 18 and 13, nearly 3 blocks on only 10 shot attempts, but no other player even had more than 4 first place DPOY votes. Howard won 10, 4 for MVP. 2011, his very best season, a weak team surrounded with guys all huge liabilities on D. Orlando finished 1st, 3rd, and 3rd in defensive rating from 2009 to 2011, all because of Dwight's presence, 4th in opponents' points allowed back-to-back years, 2nd in MVP voting, arguably the weakest supporting cast for any 52-win team. Some argue he had a case over D Rose as MVP, was near unanimous DPOY again, won 3 rebounding and 2 blocks titles, a monster on the glass, was on his way to becoming an all-time great center, even mentioned as the next Shaq, starting from the Superman outfits, which was why O'Neal always takes jab at poor Dwight whenever given the chance, but for a brief time, he was the closest big to Superman. The 5 reasons why his offense never took off: 1. Misutilized a lot. 2. Being turnover prone. 3. His own ego and lack of work ethic compared to the other all-time great talents. 4. The game changed second half of his career, he did not adapt. 5. Injuries. Being the best rim runner in the league like Prime Amari, 6'10", explosive, can run the floor like a deer, his game rolling to the basket with an elite playmaker. Dwight be Dunk City out there, but at times he slowed the game down trying to get in the post, demand the ball. But when late on the shot clock, Howard didn't have the instincts to make quick moves like a Hakeem or Jokic. Falling too in love with the post game during his last couple seasons with Orlando, struggled playing under D'Antoni's offense. Being the second option to Kobe, he couldn't take that. Later being the second option to James Harden, both got sick of each other, ran out of each town. When forced to take shots while getting doubled and often gotten many offensive foul calls, which hurt his team, especially he couldn't stay on the floor, especially needed on defense, Howard never became a great passer, never averaged a full 2 assists a game in any season. Given his physical stature, his ego at times as big as his muscles, similar to Ben Simmons, Howard had clear weaknesses that were gonna bite him if he kept ignoring the flaws. Early in his career, got called out for the lack of post-game and no mid-range jumper, combined with the immature personality, viewed upon as somebody who didn't take his work as seriously as the other stars. After the ongoing Orlando drama, only to melt under pressure in the bright lights in LA after Kobe tore his Achilles, and embarrassed Howard, schooled by 37-year-old Tim Duncan first round, ejected after Aaron Baines got under his skin.
Mental control is what it's all about. You have to be able to control your emotions. I mean, if you expect to help your team, you have to be there for them. And being kicked out of the game doesn't allow you to do that.
Took his talents to Houston. James Harden couldn't stand him, wanted him gone. Reports about the Hornets and Hawks teammates also not liking him, became the biggest laughingstock after his back soreness became a butt injury, but got his act together with the 2020 Lakers, proved doubters wrong. A little nice redemption story, but doesn't eliminate the perception of how he carried himself between 2012 to 2019. The lack of adjustments cost his own demise. Howard simply didn't adapt and took years to realize he wasn't gonna be the engine to the offense anymore. As a back to the basket guy, game became more guard dominant in the 3-point shooting era. For blaming Kobe and Harden for his lack of production when bigs like Shaq, Pau Gasol, Odom, and Bynum had their best years under Kobe, and Capella at his best under Harden. Howard said he felt like a robot, failed to realize the post touches he got in Orlando long gone, his stint with LA under LeBron and Rondo when he was just catching lobs, rebounding, playing defense should have been his main offensive focus after leaving Orlando. The fact that he refused to run pick and roll with Steve Nash and the Lakers should have been a warning for the coming years. Not being adaptable, given all that talent, too focused trying to emulate Shaq when he was never gonna be that dominant down low anyway, thought too highly of his offensive game, constantly picks up stupid texts when things don't go his way, the opposite approach of Tim Duncan. But a major turning point of his career, the worst was his back. 2012 after season-ending surgery and an abrupt tenure with the Magic, having no time to waste with the Lakers, lost his ungodly athleticism, never having to rely on heavy defined skills. It was all just too late. When you're stronger and more athletic than everybody else, that never lasts. Had he not demanded a trade to LA and elected to stay with Orlando, missed the first half of the 2012-13 season, and let himself just fully recover, could have extended his superstar career. Even elected to play 54 games the 2012 season with the Magic when he already had a herniated disc, hurt so bad he couldn't even do calf raises at one point. But instead of listening to his body, Howard said he didn't want anybody thinking he was quitting on the team. That basically marked the end of his tenure as being a top 5 player in the game. No more MVP conversations, still lots of flaws, should have done what's necessary for his body. The Orlando Magic medical staff also deserves blame for not protecting their players enough, a huge problem. Dwight simply cares too much about being liked by everybody, total opposite of Jokic. While Joker's last 4 seasons, 24.5 points, 11.6 rebounds, over 8 assists, nearly 58% shooting after finishing just 9th in 2020 for MVP, but by the end of the bubble, Jokic clearly in the top 10 discussion. Last 3 seasons, number 1 in offensive win shares per 48, offensive box plus minus, regular box plus minus, and value over replacement, the engine to team success. Murray's torn ACL late 2021 missed a third of the season, still managed to get the 3 seed, earned his first MVP. 2022 a bad roster, no Murray, 9 games of MPJ, relied on Will Barton, Monte Morris, Austin Rivers, Jeff Green, and Frank Capazzo playing big minutes, still won 48 games when team finally healthy, number 1 in the West, dominated all playoffs, played pure team basketball at its finest, way more skill offensively than Dwight can ever imagine. Jokic okay defensively, not as terrible as many think. but also never will be elite like Dwight on that end. But Joker simply way more consistent night in and night out, doesn't get rattled. A prime Howard would have done amazing to disrupt a 2020 Jokic, got him rattled in the bubble, but 2023 Jokic, a different animal, way better than his bubble self, used to get called for ticky-tack fouls and even frustration fouls like the one on Cameron Payne 2021, had some playoff altercations, but grew as a player, became way more mature, stopped arguing with the ref, looked on batter all the time, especially all 2023 playoff run, got even better, overachieved on a weak roster, silenced all the critics when winning his first title, an all-time great postseason run on a healthy team, wasn't even favored the second round where Phoenix proved to the world he's the best and did it flawlessly, pure class and humbleness, then finally earned his flowers from everybody, especially Shaq, who was never found of D12. In terms of all NBAs, Jokic competing against Anthony Davis in 2020 and Joel Embiid 2023, MVP type superstars, while Howard's center competition, Al Horford, Tyson Chandler, and Andrew Bynum, the weakest era for true centers with all the respect. Postseason play, where superstars elevate their legacies. Hard to compare different eras and style of play. Howard's 08 to 2011 4-year playoff stretch versus bubble Jokic till after his first title. Both nearly the same amount of games played. Jokic up his scoring to 28 a game from 24.5, 12 boards, 7 assists, up his 3-point shooting 35% to over 41. Howard scoring same as regular season, similar rebounds, more blocks. Dwight having the expectations to deliver early as a number 1 pick. Jokic, a random European drafted 41st, the middle of a Taco Bell's commercial, and unknown as a gambling experiment. Howard, due to the physical gifts, the better player at an earlier age. Dwight's first playoff series win as the favorite got the better of Chris Bosh, but struggled versus Rasheed Wallace, 3 of 12 shooting game 4, just 4 of 8 in game 5, averaged just 15 points in that series, future super bright. But Howard's inability to take over scoring down the stretch, the opposite of Jokic, with the help of Jamal Murray, overcame 2 3-1 deficits, the go-ahead Game 7 winning teardrop over the outstretched arms of Gobert, netted 30 of his team's 80 points, best player in the series was prime Kawhi and Paul George, a 34, 14, and 7 bomb, overcame a 19-point deficit in Game 6, unstoppable with the fadeaways. Jokic worst series 2020 Lakers, limited to under 22-point average, nearly 4.6 fouls a game, 25 assists compared to 23 fouls. The smarts of old Dwight, Danny Green, and Alex Caruso, a total high IQ defensive team effort, contained the younger Jokic, a series that made the Serbian tougher mentally. 2023 Jokic just too smart. 2009 Dwight was 2021 Jokic. This one's super debatable. A dominating 24 and 16 stat line, beating Philly. Stan Van Gundy surrounded Dwight with 4 lethal shooters to stretch the floor with a mean presence down low, made Rashad Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu, Petrus, and Rafer Alston play to their strength, led to his most memorable series, upsetting the 66-win Cavs, ruining a Kobe-LeBron Finals showdown, a 30-13 masterpiece Game 1, his best basketball ever played, so physically dominant, even broke the shot clock, a 27 and 14 3-block Game 4, 10 clutch points in the overtime win, physically manhandled Anderson Varejao and Zydrunas Ilgauskas, showed his array of post moves, looked super confident out there. Averaged 26 and 13 on 65% shooting, his aggression allowed his teammates Lewis and Petrus to shoot 48 and 47 from 3. Orlando made 20 more threes that series. Howard closed out Game 6 with a 40-piece, unlike many stars in the East who crumbles facing LeBron. Dwight rose to the occasion this series, had many convinced Howard the second coming of Shaq, not as dominant offensively but a better defender. After 2009, you were delusional if Howard wasn't your second choice to build around a franchise the next 10 years, leading his team to the finals at age 24, the highlight of his career, but huge underdogs versus the hungry Lakers. Stan Van Gundy decided to play Jameer Nelson, out since February, ruined team chemistry, especially Howard's part, out-coached by Phil Jackson. LA's length of Gasol, Bynum, and even Odom swarmed Dwight, much like what the 2020 Lakers did to Jokic. Against a heavy contender super locked in, Howard didn't even get his first dunk till the third quarter of Game 2. had there been 0.5 of a second more, would have gotten the game-winning putback to even the series. Despite being the second most talented player of those finals, 8th in field goal attempts, Rafer Alston 14 shots more than Dwight. Heck, even Trevor Ariza and Lamar Odom shot more than Dwight in that series. Orlando took 29 more threes, but only made 5 more than the Lakers. Howard never really established a rhythm either. 8.6 shot attempts, 15.4 point average, scored just between 11 to 21 points each game. The game he dropped 21, Orlando actually won. Wasn't ready in the clutch after a hard Kobe foul, a chance to put the game away, even the series, but bricked 2 free throws while up 3 led to a Derek Fisher 3, but his defense nothing short of sensational. A finals record 9 blocks in game 4, stripped the ball away from Kobe late game 3 trying to split the pick and roll. No other center had hands that quick at the time. A terror in the paint, had everything defensively. It was sky's the limit for Dwight. While 2021 Jokic dismantled Portland, a 33-point 10.5 rebound average against Nurkic, swept by a healthy Phoenix Suns team, Jokic eliminated supporting cast. 2010 came along. It was NBA Finals or bust for Orlando. Team traded for 32-year-old Vince Carter. Hedo Turkoglu got a bag with Toronto and stopped caring since. Different chemistry with a shot creator. Howard still the same beast defensively, just didn't get as many shot attempts playing alongside Carter. Same regular season record, team looked unstoppable, swept the first 2 rounds of the playoffs over Charlotte and Atlanta. Howard went an absurd 27 of 32 shooting, where's Zaza and Al Horford, a plus 101 point differential, most lopsided all-time sweep in a 4-game series against a 53-win team, 84% shooting, more free throws than field goals. Team got a little cocky, overlooking the 50-win Celtics, wasn't battle-tested. Dwight struggled game 1, dealt with the big bodies of Kendrick Perkins, Garnett Big Baby, and Rasheed Wallace. 3 baskets, 7 turnovers, Boston drew the first punch. Dwight's teammates struggled game 2, the C's executed better down the stretch, on verge of getting swept, but a 32-16 game 4, winning game 5 easily, lost in 6. His outside shooter struggled due to Boston's single coverage on Dwight, forcing tougher shots for everyone else. Front office panic trading away Vince after a brutal conference finals. Another back-to-back years facing a tough front line. Criticized for his lack of one-on-one creativity against physical, taller bigs, continued to get backlash for his offensive flaws, while Jokic carried a weak team to near 50 wins, the most complete offensive center we see this century, scored between 25 to 37 each game versus the eventual champions, lost in 5, but 3 of those games were close, ridiculed by haters who ignored not having his second and third best player, but earned the respect from Draymond Green, gushing over his greatness. Jokic already improved significantly 2 years since the bubble. While 2011, Howard at his offensive peak, but after a few losses, team got rid of the declining Rashad Lewis for a post-ACL injury washed up Gilbert Arenas, trying to keep Howard happy, got back Turkoglu, who was already washed, alongside Jason Richardson for Carter, also got rid of Marcin Gortat and Petrus. Orlando lost many games when Howard had monster scoring nights. Atlanta figured out how to beat Dwight's magic, easily winning after Howard put up 46 and 19 game 1. His role players acquired in December, a non-factor. The end of playoff Dwight in Orlando had every right to feel frustrated. In a superstar-dependent era, LeBron joined the Heat, Melo to New York, rumors on Dwight's future speculated quick. Didn't keep his word, everything went downhill rapidly. While Jokic 2023 with a healthy roster, added key contributor Bruce Brown on a bargain, destroyed everybody, a 16-4 record, best player in every series, had no weaknesses, closed out games with his Dirk-like shot making, dominated the glass, led everyone in points, rebounds, assists, and every advanced stats imaginable, averaged a near triple-double, with good help defense, much improved, dismantled Anthony Davis, Ayton, Karl Towns, 3 #1 picks right there, had his way with Gobert and Bam, considered 2 of the best defensive bigs. The closest thing we've seen with Dwight was Jokic 2020. Howard, the 8th man on the Lakers, only had one assignment: to frustrate Jokic and frustrate him only. Jokic the main focus on the Nuggets on an inferior squad. The quickness and athleticism, defense and rebounding. Prime Dwight will clearly do better on Jokic than any other big today, but Jokic's versatility, able to pull Howard away from the basket, allowed open teammates to cut and make the perfect pass every single time. Dwight and Nikola couldn't be more polar opposites of one another. Elite defense versus high-level offense. Prime Dwight deserves his flowers, and easily a Hall of Famer without question, even if he stopped playing after 2011. But the main difference is mindset and fixing weaknesses, something Jokic has done, improved, trimmed down in weight, never got fatigued. The 2023 playoffs, when there were questions, delusional talking heads thinking Rui Hachimura would slow Jokic down. Jokic can dominate a whole game, posting 8, 12, and 11, and sleep comfortably at night, while Howard, a liability at the free throw line in crunch time, inconsistent post moves, didn't have the full arsenal. Jokic 100 times more fundamentally sound, a nice touch, good footwork, can make a shot from all angles of the floor. Scoring wise, Dwight's only better playing in the air. Prime Dwight was simply amazing, but due to the many flaws, never developed an all-around offensive game, never became a true leader, still had great physical abilities after Orlando, but had an identity crisis, worrying too much about what Shaq said. Jokic clearly has the edge over Prime Dwight Howard. The amount of fallouts Howard had with teammates and coaches, Jokic gets along with every one of his teammates. Even former teammates come out to the NBA Finals cheering him on. Being a good teammate determines how long you can stay in the league. Dwight's more gifted than 99% of players in this prime, but the antics and fallouts, there's a reason why DeAndre Jordan's still in the NBA today and Dwight Howard isn't. When you age, not always about who's more talented, but doing the little things, being a great locker room presence, Dwight only has himself to blame. Also having the opportunity to be mentored by the best of the best, Patrick Ewing in Orlando, Kareem and Kobe in LA, Hakeem and Kevin McHale in Houston, two of the best post players all time. All that access and still no consistent scoring back to show for. Bigger, faster, stronger can only take you so far. Instead of being recognized as a top 75 player back in 2009, many believe Howard had the potential to be a top 15 player all time, but not even listed 60 spots later. Look, if Howard wants to say he had a better prime than Joel Embiid, fair to say. Joel's gonna turn 30, never even let his team pass round 2. But Jokic looking like he will continue to dominate for years, making Dwight's name more forgotten in the big man history books. 2023 Jokic simply more impressive than any of Dwight Howard's NBA accomplishments. And that's not a knock on Prime Dwight. The Joker has a chance to become a top 10 player all time when it's all said and done. As of 2023, Jokic already closer to Shaq all time than Dwight is to Jokic.